everybody. Hope you all are doing really well. Welcome to our another discussion video on the developmental anomalies associated with the size of teeth. Right, we are going to study about the teeth anomalies. We are going to study about each and every pathology associated with the teeth one by one so that we can cover up all of them, and that too in an easy and short simple discussions. Today we are going to study about the developmental anomaly associated with the size of teeth. And when it comes to the size of teeth, the only thing that can happen is the size of teeth can be small, the size of teeth can be large. Now, if it is smaller, then we call it as microdontia, and when it is larger, we can call it as macrodontia. Now, we have two terms. We have micro and we have macro. See, micro really means something which is small, and macro really means something which is large. But when it comes to the anomaly, we must mention that micro means something which is smaller than the normal, and macro means something which is larger than the normal. Right. So one by one we are going to study about the microdontia and macrodontia and what all really things that you must know, because this is an important topic as far as Viva is considered. In Viva it is very thoroughly asked that if you know anything about the anomaly associated with the size of teeth, then at least you must know few points about the micro and macrodontia. So without any further delay, let's start discussing about it. When it comes to microdontia, as I have already defined, that microdontia means the size of the teeth are smaller than the normal. There are three different types of microdontia when it comes to the classification of microdontia. We have true generalized microdontia, we have relative generalized microdontia, and we have localized microdontia. Now first thing, we have generalized and we have localized microdontia. In generalized, we are saying that there is true generalized and relative generalized, and in third case we have localized. In case of true generalized microdontia, what is there? The size of the teeth are actually smaller than the normal. Now, where can you appreciate this microdontia situation? When you are examining a patient who is suffering from pituitary dwarfism, who is actually associated with Down syndrome, or you can say the patient is associated with any such congenital heart disease. In all these cases, you have to memorize that when you are talking about true generalized microdontia, then this disease is associated with the Down syndrome. It may be associated with some heart disease, or it may be associated with your pituitary dwarfism. Now, next point that you must know about generalized microdontia is that one way is true generalized microdontia. Second is relative generalized microdontia. What is the difference between true generalized microdontia and relative generalized microdontia? In case of relative generalized microdontia, what happens? The size of the teeth are normal. They are not smaller than the normal. Then why are we calling it as microdontia? Reason is that we are calling it microdontia because what happens? There are genes which code for each and everything which is present in your body, right? The genes which are coding for the jaw, the genes which are coding for the teeth are different. Now what happened in a person who is said to be suffering from this relative generalized microdontia, in those patients what happened, the genes which are coding for the jaw size come from one parent, and the genes which are coding for the size of teeth comes from the another parent. Now what happened, the size of the teeth are normal. We have specific dimension of teeth, but what is happening? The genes are coming from different sides. One is coming from mother, one is coming from father. So what happened? The size of the jaw is actually large. The jaw is actually larger, otherwise teeth were normal. That is why it is giving out an illusion of microdontia, and we call it as relative microdontia. It's not a true microdontia which is associated. Next, the third classification that you must really know about the microdontia is that the localized microdontia. Now, localized word itself suggesting something which is limited, something which is local, something which is associated with just one or two, right? Now, most of the time the teeth which are affected, the tooth which are involved are your lateral incisors and your molars, specifically third molars. Now, what you actually want to see? in case of lateral incisors, you have a specific shape of each and every tooth. You have a specific size of each and every tooth. I'm sorry. Now what happened is that in case of a lateral incisor, just go in front of a mirror and just look into the mirror and just see. You have center incisors and just lateral to them you have lateral incisors. If you look onto the shape of your lateral incisor, you have a mesial outline, you have a distal outline. Now that mesial and distal outline that you are talking about in case of lateral incisor, they are quite diverging. In case of localized microdontia, the shape of the you can say this lateral incisor, or you can say when you talk about 1 2 or 2 2, this is actually the nomenclature for the lateral incisors of right and left respectively. Now what is there? The size is smaller, as well as the shape of the tooth, the shape of the lateral incisor appears to be cone shaped. Right, it is appearing as cone shaped. Rather than diverging, it is converging in nature. So this is actually about your lateral incisor when you are looking on to the localized. Moreover, as we have previously seen that true generalized microdontia, it may be associated with the Down syndrome, it may be associated with pituitary dwarfism, it may be associated with some congenital heart disease. When we study about the localized microdontia, then we can say it is associated with the Down syndrome, it may be associated with the congenital heart disease, or it may be associated with progeria disease, or more well to define, it may be associated with Hutchinson-Gilford progeria syndrome. It's not really difficult to memorize. Localized microdontia is associated with progeria disease, otherwise Down syndrome and congenital heart disease you have already written in case of true generalized microdontia. When you talk about localized microdontia, then you have progeria disease, or you can say Hutchinson-Gilford progeria syndrome. Don't get confused. Don't displace the word of syndrome with the disease or disease with the syndrome. Both the terms are different. Both the terms have specific meanings to them. And if they are used at their places, they have some significance, might be the meaning will be the reason for the same. So if you want to memorize, you might have seen the PA movie of Amitabh Bachchan. You might have seen progeria is a disease when there occurs to be premature aging of the child. So this is actually an image. I have searched the same on Google. I haven't used my tab presently because of this light. There is a lot of reflection onto the screen. So that's why I made out a printout of it. And here is a printout of a child who is suffering from Hutchinson-Gilford progeria syndrome. You can see that there is premature aging of the child. And if you want to memorize this, you can memorize with the PA movie. This was something which was depicted over there. Now, moving ahead, how can you actually look on to the patient who is suffering from microdontia? Clinically, it is very easily visible that the patient is suffering from microdontia, and you can also appreciate what kind of microdontia is there. As far as our treatment is considered in case of microdontia, we go for crown and bridge work, right? After this, we have to study about the macrodontia. Now, macrodontia is also called as megalodontia or megadontia, because macro, megalo and mega, all these terms are synonyms to one another, and all of them here really depict that the size of teeth are larger than the normal. Moving on to the classification of macrodontia, again the same classification is there. You have generalized macrodontia, you have localized macrodontia, but when it comes to generalized macrodontia, again you have true generalized macrodontia and you have relative generalized macrodontia. When it comes to true generalized macrodontia, the word is itself suggesting that actually there is a case when you can find the size of teeth are larger than the normal. As I have previously told you, that each and every tooth which is present in your oral cavity have some specific dimensions, and those dimensions are said to be the normal one. The crown, the root, the length of the root, the length of the crown, the dimensions, the diameter, the mesiodistal diameter at the cervical region, all these things are really important to memorize, and that's why we call the tooth anatomy is really important to consider, because in case of micro and macrodontia, it is the issue of the size, right? Now, in case of true microdontia, we have studied it is associated with the pituitary dwarfism. Here you have to mention that it may be associated with the pituitary gigantism, right? We are going to study about this dwarfism and gigantism in a separate topic, in a separate discussion, in a separate whiteboard marker session, right? After this, we have relative generalized macrodontia. Now, in case of relative generalized microdontia, we have studied that the size of teeth were normal, right? It was happening the issue that the genes which are coding for the size of jaw were coming from one parent, the genes which are coding for the size of teeth were coming from the other parent. Similarly, here happens the same. In case of relative generalized macrodontia, the genes which are coding for the jaws are coming from one parent, the genes which are coding for the teeth are coming from the another parent. And what is happening? The genes which are coding for the jaw, they make the jaw comparatively smaller, and because of that the teeth appears to be larger. Otherwise the size of teeth is said to be normal. So here you have an illusion of macrodontia, otherwise the macrodontia is not there, and there you were having the illusion of microdontia. That is why it is really important to differentiate the generalized microdontia and generalized macrodontia into true and relative situations. Here you have the localized macrodontia, as we know that maybe one or two teeth are affected, right? Question comes that what are the very frequent causes which may cause this? First thing is the genetic influence is really important to consider. There may be some genetic factors which are really involved in this. Moving ahead, a very simple term that you have to memorize over here is that macrodontia may be associated with your facial hemihypertrophy. Now, how can you memorize? Again, I have seen this on Google and this picture was available over there. Now, you can see this patient is suffering from facial hemihypertrophy. Facial is for your face. Hemi means half, or you can say unilateral. One side is affected. And in this case, you can see there is enlargement of head and teeth. So, actually, facial hemihypertrophy is a disease where you can see true macrodontia, where you can see that the size of teeth are really large, and that is because of this facial hemihypertrophy situation. Another reason, another state for the macrodontia is your gigantism, and again we have to mention the genetic factors play a very significant role in this micro and macro situation. Moving ahead, we have some clinical features. Now, I would like to tell you one important thing. In case of micro and macrodontia, when you look onto the patient, you can really appreciate, okay, the teeth are comparatively smaller, the teeth are comparatively larger. Clinically, it is very much easy to diagnose. It is really well to appreciate because it is visible over there. But simultaneously, in case of micro and macrodontia, let me tell you what happens is that this is the maxilla and this is the mandible. When they closes in the rest situation, then what happened? They have specific relation, and we call this maxillomandibular relationship as occlusion, right? I'm not going in detail of occlusion, but this relation is very specific, right? Maxilla and mandible when it is closing, specifically when it is in the rest situation. Now, this relationship, which we call it as occlusion, is disturbed whenever there is a situation of micro and macrodontia. So, and what all you can see in case of macrodontia, because teeth are really large, they occupy more of the space. So, what is the basic problem that anybody can suffer from? The tooth remain unerupted. There may be present impacted teeth. As far as the treatment is considered, what all you can do in case of treatment is you can go for the orthodontic treatment. You can make yourself more available as an orthodontist to the patient. Moreover, you can go out for the extraction of impacted tooth if they are creating problem or if they may create any such problem in future. Moving ahead is nothing. Moving ahead is the end of it. So these were the two terms which were associated with the microdontia and macrodontia. We are going to end up, and hope you may like it. If you like it, please share it with your friends and let us know what all changes we can make to make it more to make this discussion more interactive. And we all welcome, if anybody is really interested to entertain in our discussion video, we can make out the live videos also there. Please suggest what all changes are required. We really welcome all of them. Thank you and have a nice day.